What is going on, everyone? Christmas Journals, Comics and Pop Culture, guys. Got a live show today. We're gonna let this sit for a couple minutes just to get some viewers in. So I'm gonna go ahead and mute my mic for a quick second. If you guys are watching this on the replay, just fast forward through the first couple of minutes. But we got a juicy live show tonight, guys. A lot of awesome stuff to talk about. I want to take your guys' questions. Isaac, what is going on? Kid Collector, what's going on? So give me just a moment. I'm going to mute my mic real quick, guys, and just hold tight. All right, guys, I'm back. So we got a few viewers in here. Wow, man, I hope everyone is having a beautiful evening. I just got done eating some pizza, so I'm like super full. I even drank some soda. Got to have soda with pizza, right? But I don't even drink soda. I don't drink soda or juice except for like maybe once a month. I try to cut all that junk out, but so hope everyone is well and safe, man. This has just been a week. This has been a week, guys. It's been a really interesting week or two, and I got a lot that I want to get off my chest, and I just want to present this live stream in a way to have my viewers, ask questions of what's on their mind. We tend to think that comic books is just this fun hobby, but it gets intense a lot. And there's a lot of intense things going on. And I've addressed them in a couple of my videos over this last week. And I want to address them here. So, Star Wars guy, what's going on? What was your haul for NCBD? What month is it? June? So I couldn't tell you because I do my stuff through previews. I don't get much new books. I do my preview orders. I used to do it through Midtown. That switched. I made a video talking about it. But my recent preview order, which is I think for August's releases, was done through my comic shop. So we'll see how they do. They offered the same 35% off cover price that Midtown did. But so I should be getting, so for June's new comic book day releases every Wednesday, I get them. I do one shipping monthly, so at the end of the month I'll get them. So I don't know. I don't even remember. I mean, I've been picking up some of the newer Spawns. I've been picking up some of the newer Captain Marvel because of that storyline. What was it, the last Avengers storyline or something like that? And then I've been picking up a couple of the newer Captain Americas. I actually just put Captain America on my subscription, Marvel subscription mail orders because they owed me 18 books from an old Spider-Man subscription that like just stopped production. The run stopped. So I said, oh, just give me my 18 issues in Captain America. I know I picked up a couple Batmans because the Batman 89, which I haven't gotten the mail yet, Batman 92, I picked those up, obviously, before the crazy hype for Punchline. But yeah. So Spider-Man, Miles Morales. I hope that's going to be something we're probably going to be talking tonight, guys. That preview was amazing. I mean, it was almost as epic as like an MCU Avengers preview or something like that. What's a previews order? So previews order are order for books that are releasing for like, I believe it's 2 or 3 months in advance. So for June, if I make a previews order, I'm making them for, yeah, it's 2 months, I believe, because it was for August. So every book that's releasing throughout the month of August, I can order in June and get 35% off cover price. Midtown does it. Like I said, I went through I was been doing preview orders through them for years, but I couldn't deal with some of their service issues anymore. So I brought it over to my comic shop, and this is my first time with them, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But that is what a previews order is. Sensational Comics #1. Nice. Is that? I know there was a couple runs of Sensational. I believe there was one in the early 2000s. Or that's Spider-Man though. Kid Collector, yeah. I mean, it's basically like being able to have a pull list and get that 35% off and get it ahead of time. But I don't like put them on a list to where it automatically gets held and shipped every month. I go in monthly and check out all the releases that are coming out for that, month in advance, and I just pick what I want. Sometimes it's the same releases, obviously. Sometimes it's random stuff. If it's a hot cover, I buy new books for random reasons, but I don't buy that much. I mean, honestly, I probably spend $30 a month on new books, if that. And a lot of that probably is like a few true believers, dollar books. Ali, what's going on? Did I read the Joker 80th anniversary special? I did not read that. That is a Chicago Bulls hat. Yep. All day. I mean, I'm from the Bay, born in Oakland. Have a big respect for the Warriors. I got to meet a few of them growing up. I met Chris Mullin and Latrell Sprewell. And I root for them when they're in the playoffs and whatnot. But my team is the Bulls. I grew up in that era. Scottie Pippen is my dude. So, yep. Kid Collector picked up the Dark Knight's Death Metal. Nice. Yeah, again, I'm so behind on current reading. I haven't read any real current runs except for Spider-Man stuff. Just because my life has not allowed me to read too much. And even during lockdown, the shutdown and shelter in place, I haven't been reading new stuff at all. I've been going back and reading old stuff. So, yeah, I'm trying to get caught up because I'm the type of person, my reading style, I like to read, I like to go all the way back to try to catch up. And I know it's kind of counterproductive because it's so hard. Like, I'm reading Uncanny X-Men right now. And I wanted to read X Factor so bad for so long. I read a little bit of it when I was a kid, but not from the beginning. But I was like, I need to read all my Uncanny X-Men up until there before I even start on X Factor. And I did. And good thing I did because it made more sense. But I mean, it's not like you have to do it like that. I'm just, that's kind of like OCD with me for sure. So I'm going to scoot this over a little bit, guys. So, all right, guys. Now, let's see a couple of these comments. Isaac asked, am I going to replace my cardboard long boxes to plastic ones? You know what? No, because I just think that pricing, budgeting that money for how expensive those plastic boxes are, I would rather buy more comics or something. I mean, obviously, I'm not against it. If you have the money, those boxes are nice. But I mean, these do just fine. And I am not. Yeah, I mean, how much do those cost? Like $16 each for a short one, which is like three times as much as more than three times as much as a standard short box. So I'm good for now. Oh, Sensational with Wonder Woman. Isaac. Yeah. Being a Spider-Man fan, when you said Sensational, I automatically went to Sensational Spider-Man. Kid Collector asks, do you buy your bags and boards in bulk or wait until you run out? I do usually, especially Mylar. I buy my stuff in bulk from E. Gerber, or that's what I've been doing for the most part. And what I've done the last couple of years is I will get actually I buy my Mylar bags from eGerber, and I've gotten some of the I don't have them right here, do I? I do have some of them right here. I got some custom cut halfbacks, but I made my videos on halfbacks and how I hate halfbacks. I think they're pointless. I think they're a waste of money. If you're gonna budget more money for complete acid-free boards, just go fullback all the way. You know, if you buy them in bulk, they're not even that much more money. If you end, I mean, if you're doubling your halfbacks, which you really have to, I mean, these are the flimsiest things I've ever seen in my life. You'd be paying the same amount just going fullback anyways, basically. So, but when it comes to eGerber, I try to make one order once a year. I usually do it with like tax return money, and I can buy, you know, like 1,000 Mylar bags and get them on the cheap because it's in bulk. And then for my boards, if I, you know, I'll buy some of the halfbacks or fullbacks. I won't be buying next year. I'll be buying fullbacks, but I won't buy all fullbacks because I'm not at a point where I feel spending that kind of money to put a fullback in all my books. You know, and we can go down that rabbit hole. Why? But I still buy my boards from BCW in bulk. So I'll buy 1,000 boards from BCW the beginning of the year, and those will last me. Now, if I run out during the year, you know, you can easily go on Amazon or eBay and get like 100 or a couple hundred Mylar bags for a decent price. If you're buying more than one bag, you can get them for like $15 a 50 pack. But yeah, and then for poly bags, I'm really staying away from poly bags a lot. I usually like to keep 100 pack of poly bags that you guys see right here on me at a time, and I'll just order those from like Amazon or if I'm at a local shop, I'll pick a couple up just to have on me. But obviously, going to local shops wasn't an option there for a while. So yeah, yep. B Schnurr, what is going on? New to the channel. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Let's see. Am I selling? Ali asks, am I selling? Nope. I've sold, okay. I maybe sold 5, 6, 7 books in my lifetime. I actually got rid of a few books as a kid too, like in garage sales, and I regret that. But yeah, I've sold about maybe 5 to 7 books, maybe in the last few years, and they were duplicates. And I just needed actually, yeah. Yep. And I just needed a little bit of money. There was a few duplicate Spider-Mans, a few duplicate Captain Americas, pretty much. And I sold them on eBay. And I had upgraded to I had a better condition of that issue, and I sold them. But I like to keep multiple issues sometimes too. So I'm not a seller. Every book in my collection is special to me. I hope to. I'll probably pass it down to my kids or my grandkids, and you know, unless something happens to where I absolutely need to sell. I say the same thing for my Transformer stuff because I have tons. I'm looking at them. You guys can't see them, but all my Transformer stuff, I'm thinking about holding on to those until maybe my kids are going off to college and I can sell them and get some money to help with college. Smacked by the mat. What is going on, Mike? Thanks for joining today. Are all of your comics in Mylar? Absolutely not. I got 16,300 books. I've been switching over slowly but surely, but nope. I mean, I might have like 4,000, maybe. I don't even think that. Maybe 3,000, maybe even that in Mylar. Yeah, but like I said, I'm moving a lot over slowly but surely. It's tough, you know. It is tough for sure. What do you think about Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel? That's a loaded question. I'll answer that. Let me get okay. So we got Star Wars guy. We're gonna talk about Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. Mike asked the current state of comics. Should we be worried? Yes. From rewriting long-lasting mainstream characters to poor storylines. Good points, Mike. I mean, you bring up some valid points. To comics full of ads. Increasing prices. Are you talking about cover prices or market prices of back issue books? Definitely some good things. 713, what is going on? So let's see. I'll see if we got a few more. Sacto, Sanctorium, thanks for joining tonight. If you had to think how much money you spent on your entire collection, wow, I can't. How do you even? I mean, I could try to. You'd have to give me like at least a couple days. I'd have to run a whole spreadsheet and try to figure that out. I mean, wow. I mean, think about it. You know, you got 16,000 books in your collection. $1 a book will put you at $16,000. $2 a book will put you at $32,000. There's at least a few thousand books in my collection that I got for like $3 to $4, probably more $3. So you think that right there, that's like 9,000. You know, there's probably a good few thousand books I got from 50-cent or dollar bins, and that's going to be a couple thousand more. And then there's books that you pay $5, $10, $20, $100 for. So I can't. I'm gonna estimate. Obviously nothing lower. I mean, if we even everything out at $2 a book, it's about $32,000. So, man, I don't know. That's a crazy question for sure. Cover prices, says Mike. Yes, I agree about the concern regarding cover prices. Do you have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics? Yes. Actually, I have some. I have some right here. What do I do with them? Nope. Nope. Oh man, where'd they go? I know I didn't put them in the bin. Aha. Yep. Here we go. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics. Boom. I just picked these up for like $2 each. And this was my favorite run because it's very special to me as a kid. That Archie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles adventure run. Yep. And then my favorite just issue of all time would be the Random House paperback collection of the 3-issue miniseries that came out in like 87, because that was my first comic book I ever owned. So would I be sad at how much money I spent? Nope. I don't regret it. I don't regret it. I got a couple boxes of size and about 6 shorts, and I am floored by how much it probably is. I hear you, man. I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. Have I read every single issue I own? Nope. Absolutely not. And honestly, I doubt I ever will. I mean, you think about it too. I keep adding to my collection, which most of us probably do to some extent. And you got to think about it. I mean, it's crazy to think about how many stories there are and how much time there is in a day, and you just don't have that. And I will probably never make it there. And like I said, I kind of shoot myself in the foot because I am one that likes to read chronologically to such an OCD extent that I probably don't read as much as I could. Because like I said, I didn't want to touch any X-Men stuff until I went all the way back. And I did. I went all the way back. So and it takes years, man, because I started doing this like 2 years ago. I went back to X-Men #1, 1963. And I read the essentials. I bought a few of the essential volumes, the black and white collections. I read those all the way up to giant size X-Men. And then I started reading my single issues. And if I don't have an issue, I'll read it online, digital. And I'm in like 1987 right now. I'm on issue like 214. And I'm reading X Factor alongside with that. And then I'm reading my current Spider-Man run. I was reading some Star Wars, but I fell off of that. So, yeah, I mean, there is just, and everything that I collect, I don't collect to read. Like, I do collect for covers. Like, I mean, what's an example? I mean, I have a few boxes of just, cool covers or variant covers or artists that I like that I probably never had any intention to read, but just got them for that. But I would love to read, especially with Marvel. because I've always been big on Marvel. I would love to read every single run, big run, starting from the the Silver Age runs, the big runs, and even like the 70s runs, the 70s ongoing runs. Man, it's so hard. And even with DC, I would love to read every Batman run, every Superman run, Supergirl, and Wonder Woman. But it's nuts to try to keep up. I mean, I've read thousands of books, but let's see. Lots of comments, guys. I appreciate it. Let's see. Do I smoke? Do I smoke what? That's the question. What's the best Avengers book that I own, or just in general? Obviously, right now, Taskmaster's hot. But Avengers #1, man, that's the Grail, and then of course #4 for Silver Age, Captain America. But there's a lot of good Avengers stuff. And I think there's going to keep being a lot of good Avengers stuff that's going to be hot just because of MCU and whatnot. I mean, I just picked up the first Silver Age appearance of Black Knight. If you ever find the need or want to sell some of your stuff, I'm semi-local. I hear you, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully that day will not come anytime soon. Do I have a lot of time to read during the day? Okay, so I've been in school. I graduated school just about a year ago. I graduated from Sacramento State. I was in school for 5 years. I earned 3 degrees. I went back to school later in life, obviously, due to tragic events that I won't get into, but it brought me back to school. And when I was in school, it was really hard for me to read anything. And I tried. I even took classes during summers, but I tried to get in a book here and there. But when you're in school and you're reading like, textbooks that are this big, it was crazy. So now that I graduated and started working, I've been reading more, but it's still only like maybe a few issues a week, but then with the shutdown, at first I was reading like 3-4 books a day, and that kind of dwindled down because honestly, like I've been so busy. I am working from home doing my art. And then, I did put a lot of time into my YouTube channel. I got kids, trying to do housework. I have a lot of other personal stuff going on too. I got some legal stuff going on. Not that I'm in trouble or anything like that. It's a good legal fight for, I play lawyer with a lot of things in life, and I got a lot that's taken a lot out of me right now. So even now, I'm not reading as much as I would like. Now 713, I don't smoke cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes as a teenager. I was wild as a teenager. I won't get too much into that right now. I talked about it a little on my channel, but I was a lost cause. I smoked cigarettes, and I did smoke herb for a long period of time, but I do not smoke anything. I haven't even had a drink of alcohol in about 7 years. And I'm try to focus on my health. Just this last year, I lost over 30 pounds. So, gotta keep trying to stay healthy and whatnot. So I hope that answers your question. All right, let's see what else we got. 420. Bishner. Yeah, man. No, I did. I stopped actually. I stopped on the ganja train when I was after I had kids. I just I needed to get focused in life, and cutting that out helped. Funny story, guys. Funny story. So many of you may know that I was signed to a record label. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Collie Buddz. He's a reggae artist, but I was on the same level as Collie Buddz, and I would do his shows and stuff and work the backstage and whatnot. And we would always do a 420 show. I wasn't performing at the show, but I was there. I was kicking it backstage and whatnot. And I remember everyone was smoking. Everyone was smoking herb, man. And at this point in time, I did not smoke at all, and it'd probably been a couple years since I'd stopped. And I just remember like being back there, and then I went out when he went on stage. I went out like to the front, behind the gate or the rail, and just to the front, to the side of the stage, just to watch. And I was like, "Wow, contact high is a real thing, guys." I was like, it was crazy, crazy, but those are good times. Yep, yep. I love your Star Wars posters. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I got every single one. I do have a Rogue One, but it's over here on my movie wall. These are all the main episodes right here, for sure. Kid Collector, you went back and you're on issue 10. Nice. 7 years clean is crazy, but good. Yeah, man. And hey, I quit smoking herb for my own personal reasons. I believe it is helpful to many, and I am not one to knock that. But yeah, for me, it was time. It was time. I miss kind of like being in the studio making music with it, but I mean, I get my fluids. I get my juice, my creative juice from other areas as well. So, Reginald, what's going on? Should we be worried to a degree? It's not rocket science to see the difference in the state of comics overall from back in the day and now. A few goodies out though today, that's for sure. Chosen One, come around. Yep, yep. That was crazy. Yep. Star Wars. I was reading the modern, the 2015 Marvel and the first Darth Vader, Volume One, Darth Vader. But I'm so behind. I'm only like a couple years in. And I want to get to reading actually, you know what I was doing last year? I think it was last summer. I was renting trade paperbacks from the libraries. If your guys' libraries are open up and you need reading material, dude, like, and you just want to read and you don't want to spend all this money, go check out your libraries, guys. Man, I was finding like the ultimate collections of the extended universe stuff for Star Wars, and I read like the whole Mara Jade saga storyline and like I don't know, like old Republic stuff, and I was reading a lot of that. But I didn't read as much as I wanted to because, like I said, I was in school and dealing with all that. But that's a good way that if you just want to get your hands on a story to read, check out your libraries for sure. Um, yep, yep. Kathleen being booted as if was she booted? Because I haven't heard that news. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys. And I am not. I'm gonna say it straight up. I do not condone. I do not condone the nastiness that has been put forth over the last couple of years towards Star Wars. And when I say the nastiness is when you take a tone that basically dehumanizes people and just creates division. With that said, I am just as angry as a lot of people though about how Star Wars has been handled. But for me, I don't dive into all these so-called political issues and all that. I just see it how it is. It was just mishandled. So if Kathleen Kennedy is gone, I think it's good. If she's not out yet, I think she will be, and I think it's just her time to go. I don't think she ever really understood Star Wars. I don't see her as this evil conspiracy theorist that wanted to ruin Star Wars. It's nothing crazy like that. I just don't think she knew how to handle it. The way that she handled this last trilogy, I think shows. She didn't know what she wanted to do. She should have got if JJ was her guy. She should have got JJ on and let JJ run with all three films instead of saying, "Oh no, we're just gonna bring Ryan in," and Ryan, I don't know, let's bring JJ back in, fix the mess and all this other stuff, and it's just like, you can't do that. She just. I hope John Favreau um takes over, man. I really do. I really do. Um, you know, so yeah, I am all for Kathleen Kennedy's departure. I wish her well, but I don't think she needs to have her hand in anything Star Wars moving forward. Absolutely. Yeah, Mike. You know what burnt me out, Mike, on new comics was Rebirth. When Rebirth happened, I was putting so much money into those new issues, and I did it for a good probably year and a half, and then it burnt me out. I'm like, what am I doing? So yeah, I hear you, man. I mean, like I said, I still got the few runs that I will read, but it's tough. Mandalorian TV show, I loved it. Absolutely. Overall, I thought it was done very well. I can't wait for season 2. What do you think of? Oh shoot, man. Let's see. Young Avengers comics. Okay, check this out. Absolutely. And I should take my own advice because I don't own any Young Avengers comics. But look, if you could do a little bit of homework and you could get some Young Avengers comic books, especially those first appearances, get them. Get them right now because here's the thing. Nothing is announced. As long as you don't get them and you expect them to increase. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to increase and that's why you should get that. I'm not saying that they're guaranteed to increase. Nothing's guaranteed to do anything. But if you could get them right now at a decent price and have those for your collection and be content knowing that, hey, these might increase, but they might not, do it now because there's probably a more greater chance that they will increase to some extent. So absolutely. And I said this in a video, I think last week, when it comes to the movie hype, there's a trajectory of when you should put the brakes on. Okay. If there's talk about it, you can still feasibly get a book at a solid price. And I use Spider-Woman as an example. If you could get a Marvel Spotlight 32 or even a Spider-Woman #1 at a decent price, if you could get a good mid-grade, higher mid-grade of Marvel Spotlight 32 for under $100, I highly recommend getting that book because we have talks of this character being in the MCU in some form or fashion, but nothing concrete. She-Hulk, on the other hand, is a bit different. We have confirmation that her show on Disney Plus for the MCU is in the works. So now the hype value of the She-Hulk #1 first appearance She-Hulk, it's tough because you have to be very careful because that bubble can drop a little. But here's the big key that I always say about these Bronze Age books that have movie hype around them. There's ebb and flow, guys. They might come down a little bit, but these are books that are going to steadily increase in the long run. Why I'm talking about this, I think this is a perfect time to bring up a chart, guys. This is a perfect time to bring up a chart. Check this out. So, and I want to talk about, before I bring this chart up, okay. Reginald, I agree. Holdo had no place. Rose could have been a good character, but she had no place. And again, it's not that they were, for me, it's not that they were women. It's not because of the color of their skin. I think those arguments are null and void. It's just basically, you already had so many characters. You have legacy characters, Skywalkers, the Solos. You're bringing in fresh characters. And then now in the middle of this trilogy, you're adding more characters and they just didn't fit. They didn't fit. And that whole Canto Bight should have been a standalone movie and should have been nowhere in a 9-part, saga. So, yeah, absolutely. But let's go back to this chart that I'm talking about. I'm going to show you guys a chart from the S&P 500, okay? Stock market. And a big thing that has been the talk of the week, obviously, is Miles Morales, okay? I did a video on it. This book is on fire. This book is crazy. It's been on fire, guys. And that's another thing. You guys thinking that this just happened overnight because of the announcement of the video game or Into the Spider-Verse 2? No, it's been spiking and hot. But obviously the rate of increase right now is almost exponential, right? So many salty people, guys. And I talked about this in my video I did a couple days ago. So many salty people. Everyone is mad right now about this Miles Morales stuff. And I'm going to be straightforward, and I was straightforward in my video, and I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but guys, we got to pull our bootstraps up and be grown men or grown women here, okay? If you don't have the book, Don't be mad and don't cry about it. Oh, well, I don't have the book. I don't have it. And shoot, does that bum me out? Absolutely. I wish I would have had it. But guess what? It is what it is. And I'm happy for everyone that does have it. Like I said in my video, I'm happy for LCSs that can sell these books that they've been sitting on now and can have a larger profit margin. You know, LCSs need money. This is going to help them. And good for this character. This character is not going anywhere. I've never been a big Miles Morales fan. I'm a big Peter Parker fan. After seeing Into the Spider-Verse, I was like, okay, this is dope. But I mean, I've never like read his stuff or anything like that. So I'm not going to be salty about it. It is what it is. But this character is not going away. This is this generation's what Wolverine was to the 70s, or what, you know, Venom was to the 80s, or what Deadpool was to the 90s. This is this generation's guy, okay? And he's not going away. And I do believe that he will replace Tom Holland's Peter Parker in the MCU. Not real soon, because Sony is building the Into the Spider-Verse franchise, and that's going to be going for a good few years. But I'm telling you, like in anywhere from 7 to 10 years, when Tom Holland is in his like mid 30s and his Spider-Man, you know, is done with his story arc in the MCU, I guarantee you, we're going to have old man Peter bringing in this young cat from the multiverse named Miles Morales. I see something like that happening. This character is not going away. So, yeah, I know. And I'm going to tell you guys right here. I'm going to tell you guys right here, because we're going to get into this. I want everyone to be able to express their points of views on anything I talk about tonight. But if it gets nasty, and if it gets ugly, and if it gets hateful, I'm giving you a warning right now, and you will be booted out, okay? Now, I'm not talking about different opinions. Don't get mad at people for having different opinions in the chat, okay? If somebody doesn't like Miles Morales, it's fine. If somebody doesn't agree with the book being this price point, that's fine. I'll challenge you, and I'll tell you, bring your facts to the table. But hey, that's just an opinion. If somebody wants to be hateful, then that is not okay. And I'm saying it right now. Now, this is what I've been getting over the last week, okay, about Miles Morales in this Ultimate Fallout #4, is that it's fake, you know, it's not real, it's a bubble, it's gonna pop. You know, this is not even the nasty stuff. There's the nasty stuff, and then there's this, and then there's a lot of people saying, you know, speculators are hoarding it. There's so much of it out there, it's not even worth this much. And I'm just like, guys, look, you guys could be you could be naysayers about what this book is going to do in the future, but you got to take a step back and humble yourself and understand basic economics and supply and demand. Okay, let me show you guys this image. Let me show you guys this image. $713, I appreciate you coming by. Just check the rest on rewind. I'm about to bring up this image right now. All right, guys, look at this image. Now, this image is the lifespan of the S&P 500, one of the biggest markets in the stock market, okay? One of the biggest portfolios publicly traded on Wall Street. All right, outside of the complete bottoming out that you see there in 1930 from the stock market crash. What is this? What is this? What is the S&P 500 doing? I want you guys to take a minute and look at this. And you don't need to understand finance or understand stock markets or anything like that. This is the trend of the value of the S&P 500 from 1930 to present day. Okay? Can you guys tell me what it's consistently done since 1930? And why I'm waiting for someone to answer that, I'm going to look at some of your guys' questions. Mike Sears, some graded 9.8s are going up to 1,000 right now for the Ultimate Fallout 4. My degrees are in, I have a behavioral, social and behavioral science degree. And I have 2 business degrees. And I'm also getting certified to be an English teacher as well. I almost changed my major to an English degree halfway through. But I said, you know what, I'm going to keep the business degree and I can still get certified to teach English. So, okay, guys, so I'm going to answer my own question, okay? If we look at this chart, what do you see there? You see constant growth, okay? The growth rate for the S&P 500 is constantly going up. But what is it also doing? It's also dipping, okay? The ebb and flow of ups and downs is natural in any market. You talk about the housing market. You talk about stocks. You talk about the S&P 500, NASDAQ. You talk about all these things. This is a healthy market. What happens usually is you'll see, and let me, if you can see that, you'll see spikes and dips. Spikes and dips. But what's the trend? The dip never goes past the threshold and never dips lower than the previous dip for the most part. Now, we do have some recessions here to where you saw some extreme dips, but even in the recovery, they recover and reach new heights that they've never reached before in terms of the value. Basically, this is my opinion for all those naysayers about Ultimate Fallout 4 right now. All those naysayers, guys, yes, there's a bubble right now because so much was announced at once. This character is so hot. I guarantee you, once the game releases in a few months, those 9.8s that are selling for 1,000 right now aren't going to be able to sell for 1,000, but they're not going to bottom out. There is no way that this book is going to bottom out. They might drop down to 800 for a few months, but then guess what? When we get that preview for Into the Spider-Verse 2, that bubble's going to go up again. And then the hype's going to cool off and it's going to drop down a little bit, but probably not down to where it was after the first drop off. This is a book and a character that's going to have the health of a S&P 500 portfolio, guys. Is this making sense to you guys? And this is not speculators ruining the market, ruining the industry. This is not, oh, it's fake and it's going to bottom out. This is natural, healthy market. It's natural, healthy supply and demand. And it's all organic. You know, there's no insider trading going on here. Guys, this is what I wanted to really show you guys, to where the fact that you guys think this book, I'm telling you guys, this book is not going to bottom out. You are never again going to be able to buy a 9.8 of this book in $100, $400, or even probably 200. You won't. All right, let's look at some comments here. Bishner says, I love your real life facts. I appreciate it. And I always try to be educated before I talk on a subject, guys, even when it comes to comic books. I mean, you know, we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot if we don't know what we're talking about. And if we make a mistake, you know, admit to that mistake. If we didn't know something and someone else helped us learn something new, appreciate that. We don't have to be know-it-alls all the time. And that goes for myself. I learned so much from other YouTubers as well, you know, when it comes to comic book stuff. And I'm the first to admit that I don't know everything, but this is a very solid argument here. And I really am hoping that everyone takes it in with open ears. Mike Sears says $1,000 for a new comic. Well, it's 9 years old now. That's nearly an ounce of gold. A new comic or 20 grams of gold, which is better? And hey, Mike, that's a good point. I actually did a video maybe 2.5 years ago talking about comparing certain stocks on the market to invest in next to if we buy these certain key books, and what the rate of return would be on either. And that was a fun video to do. So, I mean, there is validity in investing in certain comic books. Just depends which ones, right? Bolo, what went super hot and then ice cold? What are you guys talking about here? Silk? Are you talking about Amazing Spider-Man 4? because that book is gaining ground again, and this is that ebb and flow, guys. I'm gonna actually I can't see you guys for a minute because I'm on my browser, so on another screen, so just give me a minute, but I'm gonna look something up for you guys. Since you're bringing up Silk, and funny thing, I just sent that book off to CGC to get graded. I was hoping for I was hoping for a 9.4 at least in that Amazing Spider-Man #4, Volume 3, #4. And we're gonna look at what that book has been doing. Real quick here. So we got, oh my God, there's so many variants for #1, #4. Let's see. Okay, here we go. #4. Let's pull this up. So, all right, guys. So, when talking about Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, #4, first appearance of Silk, you guys were talking about how it was hot and then went ice cold. Now, I agree it was hot and then it cooled off. But to call it ice cold, I would disagree respectfully. Now, get this. Obviously, $3.99 cover price book that held 2015 started picking up a little steam, went to about an $8 to a $10 book. Okay, then it went to a $20, a $15 book in 2016, $20 book 2017, 2018. Then towards the end of 2018, it went up to a $50 book. Beginning of 2019, dropped down to a $40 book, and then it dropped back down again to a $25 book. But now 2020 hit, it's back up to a $35 book. So let me explain something to you guys. Let me explain something to you. We'll use the Silk appearance as an example. Let's pull this back up on screen. Everything I told you matches exactly what the S&P 500 has done. It gets hot, it drops some. Gets hot a little again, drops some. Gets hot, but every time it drops, it picks itself back up. So it's not that it's gone ice cold. You see these hype bubbles. You see these hot bubbles. But now the value is currently still higher than it was 2 years ago before the biggest bubble. Now get this though. I guarantee you a year from now, it's going to be looking closer to fit. That book's going to be looking closer to $50. And if there is any talk about bringing this character into the MCU one way or another, that bubble's going to go way up. And then of course that bubble will come down again, but it'll never go back down under $50 or $100 or whatever it is at that point. So I'm telling you guys, it's the same trend. Don't call it when bubbles cool off, when hot streaks cool off, don't call it deflation. Don't call it going ice cold. Call it cooling off. But they're still more valuable than they were before the bubble. And each bubble continues to follow the same trend, just like this image that is on the screen. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. Healthy market, Isaac. Absolutely. You don't want a market that, just skyrockets. It's kind of like what happened with the housing market before the crisis. The housing market, the health of the housing market was a lie. That was an illusion, because the market should represent our purchasing power, right? The market should represent where we are putting our money, whether it's in stock markets, where we are investing, whether it's and that includes how we're spending. Because if we're spending money at Starbucks or Walmart, those stocks are gonna be healthy. So are gonna grow healthier. So when the housing bubble happened, it wasn't because buyers investing in real estate had the money. They were getting loans, and they shouldn't have been. People that shouldn't have been getting $200,000, $500,000, $500,000 loans, mortgage loans, shouldn't have been getting those loans. So what that does was it put the trajectory of the value of the housing market on this steep climb, up, and up. And that's why, your flippers were getting into the market and all that stuff at that point in time. And then when people couldn't pay back their loans, it showed the true colors and you crashed. So if you look at the housing market between probably 2004 to 2008, you're not going to see any ebb and flow. It's going to be like, shh, and then boom. This is a natural market. If you see, even with the comic book, if you see a comic book that doesn't have any ebb and flows, that's kind of unnatural. All right. So, again, cooling off periods are healthy. Welcome them. Comic Mag Musings, what's going on? Thank you for joining us tonight. Mike, the S&P is an illusion. How so? How so? It doesn't speak for maybe you and I. I'm not using it as an example for that. I'm not using it as an example to say it reflects the health of the economy as a whole. No. Obviously, stock market really reflects more of the top percent. But my point is, a healthy market in general will look like this. That's my point. I'm not getting into what the S&P actually represents. I have no money in the S&P right now, so it doesn't represent me. But my point is, a healthy market has ups and downs. ETA Nick talks a lot about the correlation between the stock market and comic books investment. Yeah, I've caught some of his stuff. I should watch more of his stuff because yeah, and I don't know. I think does he talk about what he does for a living? Because I think I might have heard him say that that's kind of his career as well. It has something to do with finance or numbers. So I've watched a lot of his CGC unboxing stuff, but I haven't heard him talk too much about stock market. Lee, what do I think? Bolo, what do I think of Lee? Will he be the next Art Germ? Hey, I mean, I don't like to compare people and say the next, even if they have similar styles. I mean, and even with Art Germ, I mean, when you say, what do I think of an artist? Will he be the next this? I mean, are we talking about his exclusive covers like going up in value just because of his name? It really boils down to what the book is, because even Art Germ, just because it's an Art Germ art doesn't mean that it's going to be like worth a lot of money, unless it's like a low print run exclusive, but even those bubble and then can drop off. So, but I mean, I like some of the stuff that I've seen for sure. And even as someone who really appreciates Art Germ stuff, I'm not everything he does is like, oh, draw dropping. Some of it's I'm like, okay. Isaac says an example of a healthy market is when New Mutants 98, when the first Epic movie came out, in that we're paying $1,000. Now you could buy a 9.8 for 500 5 years later. Yeah, and even people were arguing this, guys. Like, this is another argument I hear. New Mutants 98, guys, has not gone anywhere. And I believe to side with Isaac, but because I was looking at the numbers, I think the top average for that, when that hype happened a couple years ago or whenever it was, I think a 9 point, well, maybe it was more of 9.6, but I think between a 9.4 and a 9.6, you could probably get that book for 700. So 9.8, yeah, probably closer to 1,000. But then now with 9.4, 9.6 is more around $400 to $500. But still, before that hype a couple years ago, the book was at what, 200? And I've looked at the number of this book, and guess what? Here's the thing: when we compare it to Ultimate Fallout, Ultimate Fallout has only 73,000, a 73,000 print run, right? Amazing Spider-Man 300, New Mutants 98, those have over a 250,000 print run. And I don't want to hear, oh, those were 30 years ago. Those books only came out, roughly like 20 years before Miles Morales' book came out, because we're almost 10 years since that book. But that was the peak of speculating. The late 80s, early 90s was the peak of speculating. Was the peak of people buying these books off the shelves thinking they're going to get rich off of them, putting them in their bags and boards, keeping them all nice and neat, thinking they can retire. So I don't want to say, oh, well, you know, New Mutants 98 and ASF 300 are 30 years ago. They're modern books at the height of speculation. That's what made, you know, the reason why they were printing so many issues of those is what made the freaking comic book industry crash. But yet still, New Mutants 98 is on a healthy trajectory, even though it's had bubbles and cool-off phases. That book is still doing better than it was a few years ago. Mike, I hear you. $1,000 for any book is laughable for me because I just really don't have that much, exposable income. But it's laughable for me because it's not worth it for me because, you know, but hey, look, if I was wealthy, or I don't know, my opinion probably would be different. I mean, I'm still a conscious guy that would like to put money into like charities and do community work. I don't want to blow on, like, I'm not someone that, if I was rich, if I was a basketball player or something, I wouldn't buy a huge freaking mansion and buy 5 sports cars. I'd buy like a nice car and a nice truck maybe. And I'd buy a decently nice house, maybe buy some water. But it's just like, you know, or I would, you know, I wouldn't buy a watch that costs like a freaking $250,000. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I don't see why anybody would need to pay more than $1,000 for a nice watch. Even that's crazy for me. I mean, I bought a watch for what, $10 at Kohl's or something the last time I bought a watch. Anyways, my point is, I'm not that kind of frivolous person. But you know, $1,000 comic book. I mean, hey, maybe if I had the money, but I don't. But look, it may not be for you, but that doesn't mean that it's laughable in terms of it actually being worth that. And that's another point that I'm trying to make to people is like, just because it's just because the value isn't worth it for you doesn't mean the value isn't worth it for everyone else. And it obviously is. For what Ultimate 4-Out-4 is going for right now, obviously it's worth it for thousands of people. Because right now, people can't get their hands on it quick enough. They can't. And they're willing to put that money out. And I don't want to hear anybody about, you know, oh, the speculators are hoarding the book. Honestly, the speculators aren't buying the book anymore because it's past the threshold. The speculators stopped buying the book probably the day of the announcement because it shot up that fast. This is organic. And there are enough books out there for everyone to get their hands on them. But what's happening now is people are buying them for their own collections. If this was all speculators that wanted to flip these books, buying them, the price wouldn't have shot up so much because you wouldn't have took enough supply off the market for the demand to increase so much past the supply. People are buying them for their own collection. There's less out there for sale. There's less out there on the market. And I said this in my video, and I'll use the housing market again as another example. People get so caught up in print runs. Oh, there's no way a modern print book, a print run of a 70,000 print run could be worth this much. It's fake. Here's the thing. It's just like the housing market. There's millions of houses everywhere, in every state, in every country. There's not a shortage on houses. You know what there is a shortage on? Houses that are available on the market. Think about it. The Bay Area, California is a prime example. We know Silicon Valley is a hot spot, and we know, like, man, look, San Francisco, I grew up in the Bay. Oakland, you go to East Oakland, you go to the worst part of Oakland right now, you get a ran down 2-bedroom shack that was built in like the 1930s in the middle of the hood. You know how much that house is going for? $750,000. More than $500,000 to $750,000, hands down. Anybody want to pay that kind of money to live in the hood? You go to San Francisco, a studio apartment to rent $4,000 a month, $5,000 maybe. Why is that? Is it because there's no houses there or no apartments there? No, it's because the availability. Everyone wants to move there. And because there's so limited space, they're willing to pay more to live there. Same with the comic book. It's not about how many print runs of this, how many issues of this book there are. How many issues of this book are still on the market? If there's 70,000 books printed and 50,000 of them are in PCs, personal collections that people are holding, those are like apartments and housing or homes that are occupied that are no longer on the market. So now you only have 20,000 on the market. You got thousands of people wanting to get their hands in that book, and they're willing to pay more because of it. Do you guys see how that works? Print run means nothing if the demand is still greater than what's available on the market. Let's take ASM 300. Doesn't matter if there's more than 250,000 of these books. This book has been out for 30 years, plus years. People are keeping them in their personal collections. The real variable is how many ASM 300s are on the market. That's the supply. The supply isn't the print run. The supply is what's available on the market. And that's what makes the biggest difference. And that's what I want people to understand. Let me take a breath here and get in some of these comments, guys. What was the most I ever paid for a comic? I don't know off the top of my head. I don't think I've ever paid over $1,000 for a comic. I don't even know if I paid $500 for a comic, to be honest. Mike, again, buddy, I appreciate you, and I know you're hard-nosed in your opinions, and I appreciate that. And you're always respectful, but you got to give me more than just saying illusion. You got to give me more, because it's not. I mean, I don't know why you're saying that or how to validate it to give you any credibility. Same with the S&P and an illusion. I mean, at least allow us to, know why. Is it just because it's not for you? Or do you have something feasible to say this is why? Star Wars guy, we're talking about the Ultimate Fallout for comic book, first appearance of Miles Morales. Monks Dan, I bought a UF4 variant 9.8 a year ago for $1,200. Wow. Which variant was that? That wasn't the white second printing variant where he's lifting up his mask, was it? But hey, man, that's huge. That's a huge investment and gain. What a return, for sure. Good for you. Mike. Joseph, what is going on, man? Let's see what you got here. For every person that thinks 1,000, I'm going to put this up on screen. For every person that thinks $1,000 is a lot for a comic, there's a person that thinks 200 to 300 is a lot for a comic, and so on and so on. If you got the cash and love the comics, buy it or I will. I love this. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is what it is. Look. It is what it is. There's many of us in here right now that think paying $1,000 is way too much, and I'm with you guys. I don't have it. I don't have that money. But it's not for everyone, and it's not our place to say you guys are ridiculous or losers or calling names, which I had somebody in my comments. You always get those people that want to call you names because, oh, you're just a freaking, you're a sheep or you're a troll or you're something if you're paying that much money for that comic. I mean, come on, look. Have your opinion. Say, I'm not touching it. You guys are crazy for touching it. That's not rude. But then move on from that, man. I mean, it doesn't got to get so personal. If people have the money to spend it, let them. And honestly, this isn't a situation where people are getting duped. And I use this example. Like an ASM 129 reprint that's being sold on eBay and it doesn't have reprint stated in the listing. and they're selling them for $400, $500. That's somebody getting duped and lied to. The value of this book going up like this is organic. And if they're willing to pay, that's on them. B. Schnurr. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Awesome questions tonight. Thank you so much. Ah, Monks. Yeah. Man, good job selling that book, man. Shoot, 4Gs. I mean, you could find yourself a low grade Spider-Man #1. Isaac, I'm gonna come back to that question about what do I collect. I dare you to read a comic for 59 seconds. You mean like right now? You want me to read a comic out loud? But don't do it. It's nice change of pace to see someone not salty. Yeah, yeah, man. I like Funko Pops. I have a few, but I'm not into spending money on Funko Pops like that. But they're kind of cool. I love my Voltron Funko Pop. It's probably my favorite. And then I got Star Wars. I got mostly Star Wars. My good friend, rest in peace, Old Man Gamers Chris, sent me an act of kindness a few years back of a few Star Wars Funko Pops, and I cherish them. And I also love my my Voltron Funko. I got a Vision Funko. But I mean, I'm not huge on them. Bright View says people probably use more than over 1K to buy their whole collection. Some people prefer to buy a highly sought out key. Absolutely. Exactly, man. Sometimes, a lot of times in my collecting, I'd rather have said, you know, get more bang for your buck in terms of quantity. But sometimes it's quality over quantity. And you can go both ways. Sometimes if I have $200 in my pocket, I'd rather spend $200 on dollar books, or I'd rather spend that $200 on one key book. It really depends, and it all depends on the collector as well. B level, what's up, man? Hey, I saw your email, but I haven't read it today. Thanks for stopping by, though, man. I know we've been kind of going back and forth. I appreciate all that's been on your mind lately and everything you've been trying to discuss and what you've been doing on your channel, man. $4,000 you could get 4 at $1,000 Modern Comics. I'm looking to buy a decent copy of Hulk 181. Man, yeah, that's a good one. Absolutely. So I want to answer Isaac's question real quick. Over the years, I mean, when I was a kid, I'm a big baseball fan. I have tons of baseball cards. They're not out here. They're in a closet. I still have them all. I have a ton of baseball cards, basketball cards, football cards too. I collect baseball memorabilia. I have a lot of signed autograph stuff. I have a Joe Montana. I met Joe Montana one time and got his autograph. I have a lot of 49er autographs. I have a picture of Dwight Clark, the famous The Catch picture with his autograph on it. Rest in peace to Dwight. Bubba Paris, a lot of 49ers. I have a lot of autographed baseballs. I used to go to baseball games and get autographs on the balls. I have a lot of baseball memorabilia. I used to collect Hot Wheels. My son does now. I mean, I still have a lot of Hot Wheels. I collect action figures, but I haven't really spent money on toys at all. I mean, I love my Transformers toys. I have a lot of Star Wars toys. But I mean, in terms of spending as of late, it's been comic books. If I have any money to spend, it's been on comics. Really, that's where my heart is at right now, more than anything, for sure. Oh, all right, so Journal, would you be mad if a comic book in gold cost $3,000? A comic book in gold? What do you mean? I remember selling Hulk 181 in the 80s for $50, kicking myself. Ah, yep. Yep. So, guys, it's so funny though, guys, and I want to bring this up again, because you guys know me. If you do know me, I just like to keep everything positive, man. I know the world is crazy right now, and we want to use comics as a way to escape a lot of the craziness. Sometimes the craziness needs to be addressed though. And I just really, my feedback. I'm getting deep on you guys for a minute, but I always tell people, we got to listen. We got to listen to each other. The fact that, I mean, we look at politics for one, the fact that we're so divided politically, it's like ridiculous. It's almost like, when you think about Democrats and Republicans or liberal and conservative, it's almost like being in Nazi Germany right now where we're wearing wristband or, bands like identifying us as liberal or conservative or set and like we're enemies. It's so crazy. I mean, at the end of the day, we're Americans in this country, and then outside of that, we're humans, And I'm one that I don't like anybody being put off for whatever they believe in politically, whatever religion they believe in, whatever their personal beliefs are, color your skin, whatever it may be. I don't want anybody getting harassed, bullied, or put down because of any of those things. We need to be able to listen to each other, even if we disagree, or even if we think we disagree, even if we think we see one thing one way. So that's why, especially when we talk about comic books, the fact that people can get to a level of like bullying people when we're talking about comics, and then allowing that to become prejudice, it's just ridiculous. It really is. Now, I know there's a lot of political issues that get brought up in comics, and there's a way to talk about that. Like I talked about the new Warriors team in a video, and I said, look, overall, I don't see there's a problem with this. Obviously, LGBT peoples are are real people in real life, and it's going to reflect in art. But then, I was open to feedback. I even had a lot of LGBT friends or associates tell me like, well, you know what? We want representation, but I think the way that this is being handled is like, what are you doing? You're just trying to like, why would you name them Snowflake and this and that? Is like are you playing a childish game? Are you doing this for shock value? Certain things, and we can have these conversations, right? So if you maybe disagree with something that someone's doing that may be a social issue or may have political context to it, address it respectfully still, right? But when we take a tone that just belittles people and bullies people, it's not okay. And I'm bringing this up right now because of this Miles Morales issue. I had someone come in my comments on my Miles Morales video when I was saying, guys, just don't be salty. You don't own the book, don't be salty. Be happy for all those that have it. This guy came in and he was like, anyone that pays $1,000 for this books is a F-tard or whatever. And then even Mike saying, I agree with Mike here, saying that paying $1,000 for it is crazy. I agree with him. But when we start calling people names because of that, that's where we draw the line. I was like, okay, guy, whatever. But then he made a comment about basically if Miles is a real person, why don't we just have him like be stoned and shot at and stuff like that? And it was ridiculous. So I deleted the comment and I gave him a warning that I don't like to censor people, but when you threaten violence and it gets to that level, I will block you. So I was in some Facebook groups today, comic book groups, not politics groups or anything like that, comic book groups. And people are posting in these groups. They're posting, hey guys, what's the hype around Ultimate Fallout #4, right? And all this, and that. And people put their opinions in. Oh, it's a scam. It's not fake. It's gonna bottom out. Oh, which are all comic book answers, right? Some of the people were salty, some people were happy, whatever. And I start giving my perspective, with my background in economics and business, and start putting that out there. And I started getting into it, and I'm being completely respectful. If I disagree with you, I will present an argument, respectful argumentation, like a lawyer would in court, but I do it respectfully. And there was this one guy, I even got to a point where I was like, look, we're not going to see eye to eye on this. Let's just not waste each other's time. Let's agree to disagree, right? And I let it be. And this dude then he started personally attacking me. You know, just like doing laughing emojis and saying, "Oh, you think you're smart, you think you're this and that," and I'm just like, dude, don't start with me. And I was ignoring it for a minute, and then he started correcting my wording. It was so funny because he was like, I was like, stop injecting this argument without fact. And he was like, it's interjecting. Go read a dictionary. And I'm like, maybe I think you need to read a dictionary because interjection means to abruptly interrupt someone. Argument injection is a real thing. And I asked him, have you ever studied law? That's besides the point, but I thought it was hilarious. And then he started frickin' personally attacking me. And then he gets up in my inbox and says, you know, was like, oh, I weigh 280 pounds. And I'm like, first off, I'm from Richmond, California. You don't know me. And I asked him, do you have kids? Because if you do, the fact that you're attacking a stranger online is ridiculous. You really like, you don't know me, dude. I could be a cold-hearted killer. And this dude was local to me too. He's like, I'm in Sacramento. And I was like, man, I could eat, like, you're putting your family in danger. You don't know somebody online. Just because, you know, and I said this before, I've seen people sit and collect comic books and go out and slang dope. Just because somebody is in a comic book group or a nerdy group or a geek group on Facebook doesn't mean you can attack them in a way to where there might not be repercussions. Obviously, that's not. I said that to him. I said, you need to remember that if you have a family, coming at somebody like this is not worth it. Please remember that. And I blocked him because I'm not going to get on that level. And then I had some other guy just saying you're emailing saying you're trash. And it's simply because I was responding to this stuff regarding Miles Morales. So all I'm trying to say, guys, here, all I'm trying to say is that you don't have to like this character. I was never really into this character until I saw Into the Spider-Verse and I enjoyed it. I still never bought Ultimate Fallout number 4. I've never really been into this character. But to get on a level to act like this when we're talking about comic books, I mean, I will keep reminding you all, we got to be better people, guys. We got to be better people. And, you know, for the fact that people bring up, you know, his skin color, you know, in a way where it's demeaning and promoting violence, that's just, it's despicable and I won't tolerate it on my channel. So I needed to get that out because I let everyone know. If I get deep on something and politics gets brought up, if there's somebody that is a conservative or that supports Trump or whatever the case may be, and somebody calls them names because of that, you're going to get blocked. If there's somebody that's more liberal, that is voting Democrat or whatever, and you're going to call them a snowflake or call them names for their political beliefs, you're going to get blocked. If somebody could say I support Trump, if someone say I can support Biden, you guys could talk it out and hash it out and talk about how politics get into comic books at times. That's fine too. Shake hands virtually at the end of the day, right? So I had to put that out there, man. I want to. It's interesting that this once again we have an issue with this Ultimate Fallout 4 Miles Morales stuff that has just brought the ugliness out in people. And even if it doesn't have to do with the political or social aspects, if you just disagree with someone just because of a value of a book, regardless, don't act like a juvenile. Talk about it respectfully, okay? So let me look at some comments. Internet tough guys, man. I hear you, B-level man. I talk about it all the time, and I'll keep reminding folks, man. I will. Because yeah. All right, sorry guys. Just want to make sure I get to all your guys' comments here. I appreciate the support too, guys. When I get a little deep on you guys sometimes. B-level, talking about music is a universal language, man. Absolutely. Comic Mag Musings. I love my comic books and I don't buy them for investment purposes, but I realize their value and try to educate my wife because when I die, they will automatically become an investment. That's a good, well-balanced approach of looking at it, Comic Mag. I love that. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Positive representation is huge. It's why Miles Morales is such a great character. And let me tell you guys this. You know, I think this is the balanced spectrum that I like to exist on. Okay. I understand there's, especially when we talk about race. Honestly, I think a lot of people do this just because they have biases. I'm not saying people are racist or anything like that, so don't get it twisted. I'm not going to any extremes here. I do think people have certain biases, though, that they don't really sit and pick apart and look themselves. So when you get a character like Miles, who's black and Latino, all in one, right? And you're like, well, you know, because you got two things going on here. You got a fresh new character in Miles. He's not Peter Parker, but you have a revamp of a superhero, which is Spider-Man. Okay, so we've seen characters get swapped by race or gender, right? So it's the same character, like Mary Jane or MJ in the movies, Zendaya, although she's mixed and she still has auburn tint in her hair. She's mixed. She's not pale white like the comic books. Nick Fury, although Nick Fury was swapped in the comics first in the Ultimate from a white dude to a black dude. I'm not getting into why I'm not even getting into the history of all that and why it's valid. I'm not going to do that. But you have characters who change. Who do they make? They made Marvel a woman, and I don't even know if she was a woman. She was a woman in human form. Who knows what she was in her, you know, alien form? But so you know, you have that happening where it's the same exact character, the same exact person, and their race is different or their gender is different or whatever it may be. But then you have a situation where they're a reincarnation or a new creation of a similar character like Spider-Man, or like Amadeus is a new Hulk, you know, or the new Asian Superman. I don't know his name because I never read that. Or you know, Jane Foster picking up the mantle of Thor. You know, I mean, you've had how many Spider Women, but they're different individuals. So the argument is when a character like, say, Mary Jane is swapped the ethnicity, or Nick Fury is swapped to being a change in ethnicity. There's a lot of arguing saying, well, why don't you just, if you want representation of more race ethnicities and races, why don't you just create a new character? Okay, well, you do that with someone like Miles. Okay, we're not going to swap Peter Parker and make Peter Parker black or something like that, right? We're going to create a brand new character. Or Kamala Khan. We're not going to make Carol Danvers, you know, Middle Eastern, or you know, we're going to create a new character. But then they have the same names: a Spider-Man, a Miss Marvel. But there's context, guys. Miss Marvel took her name because she idolized Miss Marvel. Spider-Man watched Peter Parker. Miles Morales watched Peter Parker die. He has power from a spider. And for those that read Spider-Man books, there is much, you know, that Marvel. One thing Marvel has done well over the last 20 years is really built the actual mythos of the Spider-Men and Spider-Women and the Spider Beings, and how there's the whole totem of you know, I love that they did that. It's more than just some random kid getting bit by a spider. There is like preordained destiny, and Madam Web's tied into that, and everything. And that's one thing about modern comics that I really enjoyed. I thought they did well. So when you have something like that, these characters are extremely fresh, okay? And they are different people. I mean, Miles is even from a different universe. So to be angry about this character because of the color of their skin, just at that point makes it completely invalid, right? Because they'll still argue, well, you know, it's like it's a PC move and all this stuff. You know, just create a fresh new character. And let me tell, and I've said this before, do you know how hard it is for comic book creators to create fresh new characters and have them be worth it, like in terms of being able to sell comic books? How many new comic books from in the modern, and how many new characters from the modern age that were completely fresh individuals and completely fresh identities, like a Sleepwalker or a Dark Hawk? Those are two that I could think of off the top of my head. And those are two even bigger ones. I mean, they had a lot of, there's cult following of those characters. There's cult following. But there's so many more that never, I mean, you may see them around for a couple of years and then they disappear. No characters will ever be the iconic Bronze Age, excuse me, Golden Age, Superman, Batman, the villains, you know, Wonder Woman, Joker, obviously. No one will be Captain America. No one will be the Silver Age, Marvel Age characters of Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Avengers. And then you have your decent amounts of characters that get notoriety from your Bronze Age, like you know, Wolverine and your new X-Men. You know, Nova is a character that has a decent following. You know, but even those characters aren't even aligned with the Silver Age characters, except for maybe Wolverine. You know, he's a huge exception. Punisher is an anti-hero, huge. And it becomes even more rare as you go into the modern era. Cable's decent. Rob Liefeld, give it to him. Hate him or not. Deadpool, X-Force, and then Venom. You know, those guys. That just shows you how, you know, those guys, man, were doing something in the late 80s and early 90s. And then you get somebody like Spawn from a new third-party publisher. Wow, I mean, talk about just record-breaking, you know. But my point is, it's really, really hard to create a fresh character that's a completely new individual and that has a completely new identity and have it be profitable and have it be a character that can last a long time. Marvel balanced all this so well with Miles Morales. Miles Morales is a perfect blend of creating a brand new character that's unique to himself, yet is tied in to one of the most popular characters of all time, Spider-Man. It's not a carbon copy, in my opinion. It's not, oh, you know, we're just going to pander and all this stuff. It works so well, and it takes nothing away from Peter Parker. On the flip side, that's the one thing that I loved about Into the Spider-Verse. And that they actually, you know, what Spider-Man talks about it, where he goes into the multiverse and whatnot. And an older Peter Parker is an influence, is a role model to a young Miles. Look, at the end of the day, if you don't like the story and you don't like the character or whatever, that's fine. But that's why I'm saying, like, we got to leave all that other stuff. It's just, there's no substance. There's no roots there. There's no roots to say, oh, they're only doing this because. And I'm not saying that never happens. I brought up the new Warriors, right? Like, okay, here's a middle-aged white man creating these characters, giving them names like Snowflake and Safe Space. And although it may have been out of good intention, I think it fell on deaf ears. And it's like, look, if you really want LGBT representation, why don't you hire an LGBT writer and artist to say, look, we live this in the real world. Let's kind of bring this in. Look, you had Jewish folks creating Superman and writing Captain America comic books during the Nazi regime and the Holocaust because it was something that they related to, you know. So not that Superman or Captain America are Jewish, but, you know, it was very relevant of the evil that they were fighting and so forth. So, you know, hey, like, if we want to be inclusive, let's include them on the business side to make these characters more genuine. So that's where you can look at it and say, okay, there's valid reasoning to question the intent behind these things. I don't think there's no argument there for Miles Morales at all. Same with Kamala Khan. And again, this is an artist that I'm not really big on. And I've never read a lot of her stuff, although I have most of her volume 1. I think I have maybe the whole run. But just because her name's Miss Marvel, I mean, her powers are unique to herself. Her personality is extremely unique. And she wanted to take that name because she looked up to the other Miss Marvel. And, and then Miss Marvel gave up her name anyways. And and we know that Marvel wants to use the Marvel name for trademark reasoning. So hey, I don't see any real argument there for those characters, at least whatsoever. And let me get to some of these comments and questions, guys. When people only correct grammar because they have nothing good to debate. Hey, look, man, as a person that studied English and wants to be an English teacher, I hate bad grammar, but sometimes I know autocorrect gets your grammar anyways, and you didn't even mean it. You know what I hate? When people make memes and don't know how to put the right there or yours, when it's like, can you spell check your meme before you share it and it goes viral? But yeah, I mean, the irony about that guy correcting me was I was using the right word and he wasn't. Oh my goodness. Shooting himself in the foot. Lots of good stuff here. I want to make sure I get to it all. Miss Marvel was a flop. I don't know, Bolo. Like I said, personally, I like to look at numbers because you got to look at the values of the books to back up a statement like that. Let's see. Cannot get into Spider-Gwen comics. Monk's Den. Yeah, I thought about it for a minute, but I was just like, there was a huge sale. You know what happened? It was when the shutdown first happened, and there was a huge sale on like Midtown or something, and they had 75% off, and there was books you could get for under $1. And they had like the whole a big chunk of Spider-Gwen Volume 1. I'm like, should I just get them just to have something to read? And I passed. Because I don't know. Like the Spider-Gwen, all the Gwens to me has been too much. It's just too much Gwen stuff. Like, this is one character that they actually killed, and she stayed dead, but they keep bringing so many different Gwens back from multiverses, and that's where I'm like, kind of, this is doing too much. Do I think ASM 300 will cool down? Again, cool down. Yeah, it'll have it. ASM 300, it's gonna bob and weave, bob and dip. So I like to say, I think it's been on a constant upward climb. So if you look at if you look at where it's at, if it does, once that movie release and it's calmed down, that calm down is not going to be as low as the calm down after the first Venom movie. And then it's going to keep going up again. So that, again, it's a book that's going to keep long term. It's going to keep growing over time with small little dips. What do I think about Ultimate Spider-Man? The Peter Parker Ultimate Spider-Man. I read that out of the trade paperbacks, and I read the whole series in like 2 months. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great fresh take. I thought it was good writing. All right, let's go. I think I'm trying to catch up. Bolo loves Spider-Gwen. Oh, that's what made you buy UF4? Because of Spider-Gwen. ASM will always be hot, but it's a slow incline. I'd like to look up that book. But yeah, it's always going to be one that's going to gain value over time, long term, for sure. B-Level says, I wish the Disney Star Wars put more effort into their characters that way. Yeah, and again, yeah, again, it's not about if you want to introduce new characters that are women that have purple hair or whatever, but it's like, can you flesh them out? Can you give us characters that relate to the story at hand and that we can not even identify with in terms of a proper story arc? I mean, I had no problem. I liked where they were going with Finn. Like, here's this kid that is a stormtrooper that actually like wants to have an identity. Where did he come from? And they just dropped the ball. And I mean, I don't know. And then like I said, Rose, I I I would have liked to see Rose as a character in a standalone Disney film. I think this type of character with her backstory, like her sister dying, trying to fight for the resistance, and like seeing her come into her own, like, and even having some kind of Canto Bight trip. That I think that would have been a great standalone Disney movie or Disney Plus show. But to have that whole story arc shoved into a middle of a 9-story saga, ridiculous. And Holdo, I've talked about from the beginning, just like out of place, dude. Out of place, out of sight, out of mind. I could have cared less for her to ever show up in that film. Her placement just completely derailed the logic of the story arc of the film as well. So yeah, so again, it's all about how we build these characters. I don't care what they look like. People will vote with their wallets if people like these comments or not. That's absolutely true, Mike. Yep. Wow. B level. This is really interesting. Sometimes I think people hold biases and maybe hold prejudices, and they can't. And like B level says, they can't tell between positive and negative representation. Um, you know, yeah, and I think that's key, and that's what I always say about listening. It's like I'm all for listening to people's point of views if it goes against mine. But I think we are bred into having cognitive biases, that we're bred with. A lot, it has to do with nature and nurture, how we're raised, how we're conditioned on all sides of things. And it's hard for us to get outside of our perspective of the world around us. Absolutely. High voltage. Riding on the current ASM. Are you saying that you don't like the current ASM? And by current, do you mean the current Nick Spencer run or Dan Slott? Mike's talking about fault of writers to some extent here, and I don't know the whole context of what he means, but I will say, yeah, I think writers have a lot to do with everything. People still read comics. I think art has a lot to do with it as well. And I think a lot of people have a false idea that all comics are bad right now. All comics aren't bad. I still believe there's comics out there for everyone. But I do think the quality has gone down. Like, I remember, I mean, there's books. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we need to go back to the 60s and 70s where unnecessary banter filled the pages and so many thought bubbles of like needing to know every thought. That type of writing is irrelevant in this day and age. But when you go through a book and you can read a book literally in like 30 seconds because there's only like one-liners on each page, like that's ridiculous. Why are you're going to spend and it doesn't even get through part of a story arc. It ends on a cliffhanger. Nothing really happened, and you have so little text and dialogue in the book, and the art is whatever. The art isn't even that great. and you spend $3.99 on this book, you're like, why did I pay $3.99 for this book? Why? There's no story here. That does happen a lot. And that's what pisses me off. But let me tell you guys something. I am blessed because I have a lot of comic book stores in my area. And I have a lot of 50-cent bins or dollar bins that have new books. I hardly ever spend cover price on new books. Hardly. But yeah, but there are good books out there still. There really are. It's not everything. I see Miss Marvel was a flop again by Bolo. I'm going to look into the numbers behind Miss Marvel. Yeah. B-Level says, Spider-Man fans are spoiled. Hardcore Star Wars fans would do anything for multiple timelines. It's something they don't realize how lucky they are to have choice. That's a good perspective. There's a Miles Omnibus coming out. Yeah, I was reading about that. Sean Paul Ace Peter, thanks for joining. I'm still trying to catch up to all these comments, guys. Nah, sucker. What's going on? Thanks for popping in. Yeah, you know what? I got some of the Empire stuff on my my previews orders. I want to get into reading it, but I'm so behind on everything. But yeah. It's I'm so behind on my reading. I'm sorry, guys. It's horrible. Gwenpool. Yeah, Monks is bringing up Gwenpool. Like I said, I think just the Gwen characters has been too much. And that's another thing. You got a good thing going, right? Especially with Miles. You got a good thing going. Don't oversaturate the market too much. And that's a business move. And you know, as business people, you got to understand, you know, what's going to work in the market. And right now, obviously, going into the Spider-Verse 2, going into this video game is huge. But you know, I hope that when it comes to the comic books, I hope that they can really stick with like one title with Miles. Maybe have a Gamerverse Miles, because you know, I know that they're doing the whole Gamerverse now in the comic books as well, and just keep it at that. Because I just heard they're rebooting Iron Man again, and it's like, look, I know you get those people that always want to get hyped on those number ones. Every time you know, Marvel's been rebooting runs after every 12 to 18 issues, and it's getting ridiculous. It's getting really hard for a lot of diehard run collectors to follow through the runs. And it's just it's tiring. It's tiring, you know. And I think Marvel really needs to change that going forward. I like what they did with the legacy numbering, and then it was just a gimmick, and then they dropped it as quick as it came. I think they really need to get back to that kind of legacy vibe where they keep it simple and keep it focused. You know, even with the popularity in the 80s, you know, Spider-Man had four runs going at once. Amazing, Spectacular, Web of, and then the Todd McFarlane run. 4 runs, and it was too much. For their greatest superhero, their most popular superhero, is too much. So I hope they ride this train appropriately. You know, I don't want Miles to be oversaturated. I believe this character is going nowhere, but they got to keep doing them right. That's for sure. Count Von Strange, thanks for joining tonight. Mike Sears, the real Captain Marvel movie was much better than the Miss Marvel movie. Mike, you got to give me some context. Monks is looking forward to the Eternals movie. I hope they don't screw it up like Inhumans. That Inhumans show, oh my goodness. Guys, I couldn't get past the 2nd episode of that Inhumans TV show. Literally. Now, you know what I'm watching with my son right now is Runaways. I just started season. No, I'm still on season 2, I believe, but I'm actually impressed. Runaways has been good. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not, season 2 hasn't been as appealing as season 1, but it's decently good TV, and it's fun to watch. But no, I have absolute faith in Feige right now, and I think Eternals is going to be awesome. I think it's really going to allow us to open up the cinematic universe into seeing certain elements that we haven't seen before. That's going to explain a lot, including mutants, maybe to a little bit. Because all that the mutant stuff is all still so unknown. We don't know what it's going to look like, how they're going to bring all this stuff in. Yeah, so I can't wait for movie theaters to be open, man. But like I said in I think my last live stream, I want it to be safe. I would rather wait 2 more years for these movies if it means everyone stays safe, rather than open them up back too soon and it be, too soon. So let's be patient, but man, I can't wait. And I cannot wait for Falcon and Winter Soldier. I hope that still stays on deadline here. We got like just a couple months, I believe, until Falcon and Winter Soldier is supposed to release. So I'm so excited. Finn should have been the Jedi. I'm not going to argue that. I'm telling you guys, I would have loved, if JJ had control of all 3 movies, it's that unknown. It's that unknown, we will never know. But I will say this, as someone who has a lot of criticism towards The Last Jedi, I loved Luke Skywalker's story arc. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, that's not the Luke I know. And no. I actually disagree. Now, my big issue is what made Luke think that he wanted to kill his nephew. There was not a lot of context there, and that was whack, right? But Luke Skywalker wasn't just a broken old man. Luke Skywalker was enlightened. He was enlightened. Him wanting to say the Jedi must end and wanted to burn the sacred text. Luke Skywalker was enlightened beyond the boundaries and limitation of the thinking of archaic regime that was the Jedi. So there was a lot of mythos there that should have been the bulk of the movie. But I believe they spent 12 minutes runtime on Luke and Rey on the island, or 15 minutes. And they spent like 50 minutes doing the Canto Bite crap. I would have loved to have that fleshed out more. Sorry. I mean, we're 3 years and we're still, oh my gosh, talking about this. Still feeling frustrated about this. Man, I must be really behind on comments, guys. I'm sorry. I was trying to catch up. Holdo should have been a first order spy. I would have probably liked that better. And Benicio del Toro's role just made no sense. And I love this guy as an actor. That made no sense to me at all. Uh-oh, I see we're getting into some CGC, CBCS talk. Somebody says CBCS labels suck. You know what? Let me tell you something. I like PGX's labels now more than CBCS's labels. PGX really stepped it up because their labels before were garbage. Honestly, I would rather buy a top loader and stick my own, you know how you have the label printers? I would rather print out my own label printer label, plop it on there on a top loader and call it a slab than get an old PGX book. But PGX has stepped it up. Their new labels are really clean. Double S, what is going on? Thank you guys for all being here with me tonight. I feel like we've talked about a lot of great stuff tonight for sure. I'm glad I've been able to get a lot of my chest. 60s to 70s writing. Kid collector. I'm with you there. See, here's the thing about 60s and 70s writing. Writing evolved, and that's a good thing, right? I like the evolution that we saw in the late 70s and even going into the early 80s. Obviously, Frank Miller was big. Denny O'Neil, rest in peace. I think he had his hand on really changing the evolution of writing, where we saw more grit, right? You know, where we started realizing comic books just weren't for little kids. But the thing with the writing, now we can get past some of the wacky banter or how there was so much thought bubble. Like now, his blast ray affected me and I can't get off my weapon strike. Oh no, what am I going to do? I'm so, it's like we have evolved to where we can watch the panels like we're watching a movie and we don't need all that explained to us. I mean, imagine watching a movie, right? And you see Tony Stark. I was thinking of Tony Hawk and Tony Stark. It's Tony Stark and Cap going at it like in Civil War, and like Captain America saying, "Oh no, Iron Man's blasters are too much for my shield. Oh, I don't know how much I can take it." Like imagine explaining every move, right? I think we have evolved past that. But there was an underlining greatness in those stories because of how you became close to the characters and how story arcs would be real story arcs. And one of my favorite writers is Jerry Conway. And for that reason, you could take Jerry Conway's run on Amazing Spider-Man and really see such growth and evolution of Peter Parker, of his villains. Obviously, he was there with the whole Gwen arc and the death of Gwen Stacy and all that. And like, honestly, like, those are some of the deepest comic books that I've ever read. And you really, really feel the characters and can feel the emotion of the characters. And it brings you in and it pulls you in. And I want to see us getting back to more of that while still, having an evolved sense of style. It is absolutely possible. Sagi, what's going on, man? Given the same condition, would you rather collect raw or slab? Okay, great question. Great question. Given the same condition, would you rather collect raw or slab? I'm going to answer that like this. It all boils down to the price. All boils down to the price. So let's see. What's a book? What's a book that I can think of? Let's say ASM 300. Actually, let's say Fantastic Four 49, because I recently bought that book last year. Let's say Fantastic Four 49, First Full Galactus. It's going to boil down to the cost of the slab if it's the same. Now, the other thing is condition, as you stated, but you are stating same condition. It's going to come down to the cost. I have to play into the fact of what it's worth, okay, to get a book slab on my own if I wanted to. Now, I'm a collector of raw books, obviously. I appreciate the slab, and I'm not turned away from the slab. I like key books being slab. There's something appealing to it. I have books at CGC right now. I get that. But these are the biggest things. One, is it worth it? Well, you get, there's books there's like minor key books that may be worth, like, say a book's worth $50. Say a book in like a 9.0, 9.2 is worth $50. Somebody's selling it slab for $80. I would say, okay, I know it's going to cost me $18 for the cost to slab the book with CGC, and then there's shipping. Average is going to come out to about $30, $35 per book if you include all the fees. So if there's a $50 book and they're selling it at $80, it may be worth spending that $30 just to get that condition already slabbed. Because if I may have wanted to slab it in the future, I'm paying the money right there anyways. Plus, you're guaranteed on the grade. So when you're looking at a raw book that might be the same grade, and say you could get that book for $45 raw. You're only basing that grade on an opinion, whether it's an eBayer's opinion or an LCS owner's opinion or somebody on some kind of app or marketplace's opinion. So if somebody says this book is a 9.0 and I'm selling it for $45 and in a 9.0 it's worth $50, or you have this 9.0 that's graded by CGC and they're selling it for $80, you are taking a chance that 9.0 raw isn't a 9.0. You could press it and clean it and maybe get it better than a 9.0, but it might be lower than a 9.0. So if you ever decide to get that book pressed in the future, it may come back a lower grade. So I think the answer to that question really is, do I have intent to get it pressed at any point in time? Going back to Fantastic Four 49, if it's the same value, I probably would buy the slab book because it is a book that I would like to get slabbed at some point anyways. And say it's a 5.0, right? And that 5.0 is only, I would even say, we know that big key books like that, having it pressed, having it slabbed can really drive that price up. But what if it's only $50 more still than a raw book that's declaring a 5.0? Again, I'd probably buy the slab because it's a book I would want to get slabbed. Plus, what that person is saying that raw 5.0 is might not be actually a 5.0. It might be a 4.0, might be a 6.0. We never really know. So those are kind of how I would base that decision. If it's a random book, if it's a random $2, $5, even $10 book, and somebody was selling it for 20 or 25 bucks slab, I would not buy it slabbed. Absolutely not whatsoever. There's no reason. Even though it's like, well, if I wanted to get this book raw slabbed in the future, it's going to cost me more. I have no need to buy a run filler. You know, if I just wanted to buy Fantastic Four number 258 for $4, or I could buy it slab for 20 bucks. No, thank you. I'll just buy it for $4 because there's no reason for me to slab that book. It's a run filler. So I hope that kind of answered that question there. Reboots are annoying. We know that the original reboots too happened because they were going bankrupt and they were trying to start something fresh again. So I think that speaks volumes to kind of what they're doing now, or what they've been doing for the last 8 years, you know, since Marvel now. All these reboots, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Wolverine's another one, Monks. Yeah, that was extremely popular in the 90s. He had his ongoing run. He had the Marvel Comics Presents run. But he got really a lot of runs, I believe, in the later 2000s, because you had Wolverine, and was it Wolverine and Friends? I don't know. But then there was like Wolverine and the X-Men, Savage Wolverine, and then Old Man Logan. But Old Man Logan has been an extreme success. Brick Hunter, what's going on? Gomez. Runaways is a good show. Yep. I'm digging it, man. They got old Doctor Doom in there from the original Fantastic Four movies. And then they got a dude who played Brainiac in Smallville. Star Wars guy says I should listen to Falling in Reverse song, Popular Monster. It's like Linkin Park and Eminem mixed together. Okay, I'll check that out. I don't have a pen to write that down, but Falling in Reverse. Indeed, indeed. Isaac, wow, your grandfather had a book signed by Jack Kirby. Should you send it to CGC or CBCS to get the certification? I absolutely would do it with the certification. Bolo, thanks for stopping by. I still want to look up that Kamala Khan. Now I see Gomez is comment again about CBCS changing the labels, bro. So look into it. Oh yeah. Yeah. They're I heard about that too. About them up in there. I can't wait to see what they look like because yeah, like I said, I think even PGX is looking better than theirs currently. Mike's salty on the MCU. He wants a break. It's okay, Mike. I'm just giving you a hard time. Um, yeah, I remember Mike saying in one of the other shows that you're done with the MCU right now after Endgame. I hope I don't know if I think you're Mike, you're a DC fan too because I thought you were big on Batman, right? So I would love to hear your thoughts when this new Batman comes out, this new Batman movie. Ryan, what is going on? Whoop. I keep trying to keep up, and then it boosts me all the way back down to the current comments. Then I got to go all the way back up. Yeah, yeah. Here's the thing with PGX, guys. This is my opinion. This is solely my opinion. I like PGX labels right now. They're decent. They're decent. But if you want to get a book for value, if the reason that you're slabbing a book is to really come away with more value, send it to CGC, even though I have so many issues with CGC. I do. If you don't care, if you want to save a little money and you don't care about return on investment and you just want to get it slabbed because it's cool or whatever, you want to slab book in your collection, fine. Send it to PGX. But if it is a really high key, I mean, I still would send it to CBCS before PGX. I really would. And ultimately, I would still sell it to CGC, send it to CGC before CBCS. Even though I might, if I do a yearly thing next year, I might try CBCS out, especially if their new labels are rocking, man. We'll see, but I have a lot of issues with CGC. I do, but ultimately, when you look at the way the market perceives CGC, if that's solely what you are interested in, I would stick with it. I would. Yeah, Brick Hunter, I hope CBCS's slabs are thick and sturdy as well. Guys, yeah, my holy grail right now is Amazing Spider-Man 129. I put it on my 2021 list just to be optimistic, and that's another one that's just going to keep getting up there in value, man. Right now I was hoping to even just buy the Marvel Tales 106, which is the first reprinting where it has the original cover art, but it's just orangey red background instead of yellow. I did get the Marvel Tales 209, which was the second reprinting. Awesome Mike Zeck art, and it's similar to Gil Kane's original art, but obviously not the same. But so I would at least want the Marvel Tales 106 right now if I could get that for like $30. But even that one is getting up there. I mean, it's hard to find that for under 50 right now. It's crazy. But I remember I do Comic Tom was talking about how there's a lot of misconception right now with 120 129 reprints because so many buyers are listing the reprints and not listing reprint on it and being extremely vague, and people are buying those books for $300 $400, and it's that's manipulating the market. I'm not talking about Miles Morales Ultimate Fallout 4. I mean, that's organic. This is manipulating the market. And even I believe it was Go Collect that had under the I think it was the Lionsgate reprint of the 129. They were like stating the misconstrued value, and stating it as rare, and like it was faulty, man. And for a publication like Go Collect to publish that kind of information, that's bad. That's just all bad. I do not agree with that. And that's shame on Go Collect, man. That puts a sour taste in my mouth for sure. David, thanks for passing through. I appreciate it. I appreciate you all being here, man. And I hope that, while I'm sure a lot of you are still in shelter in place, at least to some degree, we can have this as some form of community, man. It's big. It's big for us right now because it's been tough times, that's for sure. Yeah, ASM 129, man. I mean, it's not one of those books that's like too crazy and reachable, but it can get there, man. It can get there, and I don't think it's happening this year, especially with everything that's happened, at all. But hey, if I get to go back to work in the fall and get some tax return money next year, maybe, maybe. Yeah, Mike, you're a big Batman dude. That's um such a valid argument to say that he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, superhero of all time. Extremely valid. Star Wars guy, appreciate you being here tonight. Brick Hunter says, would you consider UF4 Grail status now? Woo! I think that Grail boils down to an individual's opinion. My Holy Grail could be a book that's worth $20. But if you want to talk about kind of a universal definition of Grail, I do. I'm going to say it. I do feel that Ultimate Fallout 4 is a Grail. Absolutely. And I say it like this because we are what? 40, 46, about, to be exact, we're about 45 and a half years of Wolverine. Wolverine's first appearance was in what, November 74, right? I believe November. That's 45 and a half years, right? We are 45 and a half years of Wolverine. Tell me, is Hulk 181 a holy grail? Without a doubt, right? Is Hulk 181 going to hold a value similar to many Silver Age key books? Absolutely. I mean, it's passed up a lot of Silver Age keys already. This book is the book of the Bronze Age. Ultimate Fallout 4. When you look at from the year 2000 to 2020, right now, that was the book of this era. That's the book of this era, hands down. And although he's hot right now for certain reasons, and there'll be dips and cool-offs and all this stuff, right? That book is a holy grail because 20 years from now, I will just stand by the fact that Miles Morales is that guy. He is that guy. Absolutely. So that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Yep. Joseph, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Monk's Den agrees. UF4 is modern grail status. Boom. Absolutely. Absolutely. Modern and grail is the oxymoron. Like Mike will humble himself in the future. It's going to take Mike some time, but he'll come around. Yeah, Isaac, $700 for a 5.0 ASM 129 sounds about accurate. Here's the thing, guys. I'm mad. There was a book. There was a book that an ASM 129. This was probably a year and a half ago now. This book was selling, I think, for $400. Maybe it was even a little less. Maybe it was 3 something, right? On eBay. It was beat up. It was crinkly and wrinkly. I could have gave it a press, and I think after a press, that book could have easily been a 4.0. Easily after a press. And I bid like there was a little bit of water damage on it. And I made a bid. Like I didn't have the money, guys. I mean, I didn't. I would have had to like not pay a few bills. But I said like 250. I think I said 300. He was like, no, I'm firm on like 350 or something. I don't even know. I didn't do it because I was already playing around, bidding like 250, 300 at the time. I did not have the money, but I wish I would have did it. I wish I would have like had the PG&E bill turned off for a month or something just to get that book because, man, you know, yeah. Oh, well. Do I think comics will go digital in 20 to 30 years from now? Comics have already gone digital. Do I think that they will eliminate the physical book? Absolutely not. I don't. Now, I've talked about this before. In school, you know, earning the business degree, you learn about MIS and all these things and information systems and all this stuff. You learn about the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is the actual term for everything that you can access the internet on. And right now, the internet is on phones, it's on computers, it's on smartwatches, it's on we have smart TVs, we have smart refrigerators, smart microwaves that can access Wi-Fi, right? That's going to evolve in the next 10 to 20 years, unlike you can imagine. And it's almost inevitable. Basically, physical devices are going to be obsolete. We're going to be able to bring up the internet on our hands. What was that show that they like clicked a button and you can, I mean, we already could see it. There's already things where you could see your phone screen on your hand and do that. You know, we're like an Iron Man where these things are projected and he's going like this and doing this and it's all that we see that in movies. TVs are going to be like, there's not going to be a physical box. It's just going to be on the wall or in the middle of the room. The internet is going to exist in ways that we cannot even really almost fathom right now because of how advanced technology is moving, the advancements of technology. So to say, are they going to go completely digital? No, but I guarantee you they're going to look like something that you can't even fathom right now. I do feel that it's going to look completely different than it does right now. I mean, new print comics are hurting in more ways than one. But there's still something there, and I can't tell you exactly what it's going to look like. I don't think they're going to be gone completely, but yeah, it's going to look crazy for sure. With UF4 being such a hot book, I have been on the lookout to snipe some other keys. That Brandon, that's a very good point. Hey, look, absolutely. If this, and we'll use eBay or you know even any marketplace though. But if people are spending their money on this book, and you got books like, hey, for me, like ASM 129s, if they're sitting there, people might not be bidding on them as much. You might be able to win a bidding war at a lower price, or you might be able to put a lower best offer in if there's not as many nibbles right now. So absolutely, you know, look at trends of some other books and just follow it. If you see a trend kind of dipping off on a book, spend some money on it if you got it. And that's what they say with any market. Buy low, sell high, right? So definitely keep your eye out for other things. Yeah, Miles's electric shocks are freaking awesome. Mike, this is a very, very progressive hypothesis here. I think in 20 to 30 years, comics will not even exist, even digital. The old stuff will only be in private collections or museums. That is a very, very unique statement. Let's remember. Hey, Mike, if it happens, man, if we're still around in 20 to 30 years, come find me. Yeah, that's a good point, Monkston. Said that about a lot of things too. I mean, hey, look, guys, look at this. Baseball cards. Baseball cards were so huge. So huge. 60s, 70s, 80s. And they did this, they made the same mistake the comics books did. Mass marketing, mass production killed the value. But look, and they killed the brick and mortars. Funny, the LCS down there in Richmond, no, not the LCS, the card shop down in Richmond actually still exists that I used to go to as a kid, but only because the owner owns the building. He owns the whole building, and he doesn't make any money off his card shop, but he's still there because he makes money off as a landlord, right? But the brick and mortar card shop, sports store, they're gone, really. But sports cards still exist. They're in every Walmart and Target, and although it's not favorable, to those of us that were into that hobby and knew it one way, it's completely changed. But they didn't completely become they weren't completely eliminated. They still exist. So I think the same will be for comics for sure. Yeah, Mike, I agree. I think they need to do something about the cover prices. Obviously, inflation is going to keep going up. But if cover prices keep going up with that, it's going to hurt. And it's going to hurt mostly the LCSs because they're not going to be making any money off of new books or making enough money off of new books for sure. So Kari says, when it comes to comics in 20, 30 years, I think it'll be even more popular. Comics rule Hollywood and being integrated into their mediums. Great point. And guys, we are at a pivotal point in time here where we're kind of at a crossroads because you've had a comic book industry that's been hurting for many reasons for a long time. You've had things that have revitalized it, like the Civil War event. But the thing that's really revitalized it has been film and multimedia, video games, film, TV, animated shows, animated movies. And that's not going anywhere. And more people see, and this is the thing, guys. This is what I think people don't understand. And I hear YouTubers talking about this, and I think it's ridiculous because, they call these moviegoers normies. First off, a lot of people that call people normies, I don't even think read comic books. It's just an act. But I don't want to get into that. I truly believe that more people are into comic books now than they were 20 years ago. Because I'm going to tell you this. Movies that brought old collectors back into the hobby, and it's brought young collectors into the hobby that had never been there before. It's brought so many people into the hobby that have never been in the hobby before because it's not been this cool. Superheroes have never been this cool in this mainstream. And that's not going away either. So I think we are at a pivotal time where things are really changing. And yeah, I know there's a lot of qualms about what Marvel's doing, even DC is doing in terms of their actual comic books. And I think it's still going to change over the next 5+ years. But I think they're going to figure something out. I really do. And it's really going to drive us into this new era of comic book into superhero. I mean, You know, we talk about comic books so much, and we talk about Marvel and DC, and we talk about superheroes, but yet we forget to bring up the non-superhero genre. The non-superhero genre is so huge right now. Image, dude, like Image doesn't get it talked about enough. Image at a time where the market was basically flooded by the oligarchy of DC and Marvel. You had artists say, nope, we're doing this our own way. And they made it work with superheroes like Spawn and Savage Dragon and so forth, right? And they made it work through the 90s into the 2000s. And they still have those characters there. But what was their niche that they found too? The non-superhero genre. Image is huge with the non-superhero genre, and they've had so much success off of taking these titles into TV shows, miniseries, and into the multimedia aspect of it. You know, I mean, The Walking Dead was one of the biggest events of the last decade or so. You know, it's crazy. So we don't talk about that stuff enough, I don't think. ASM 194 is absolutely a smart investment, kid collector. ASM 194 has gone up so much over the last 10 years. I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm going to look at the historical value of ASM 129 right now, and I'm going to tell you why it's good to buy ASM 194. First appearance of Black Cat. Why is it important to buy the first appearance of Black Cat right now, guys? Because regardless of movie hype, and I've talked about this I did a video a couple days ago about what drives value. It's not always movie hype. Don't get it twisted. That's not the only thing that makes comic books worth money. Now, this book is going to increase in value regardless if there is any movie hype whatsoever. The Black Cat is already a solid character that's been around for a long time now. And if there is any movie or Disney Plus or MCU hype on this book, it's going to shoot through the roof. It is going to shoot through the roof. All right, I'm bringing this up, guys, and I'm looking at it. You guys can't see it on screen, but check this out. I bought this book. Probably around mid-2000s. And I don't think I paid more than $10 for it. Now, my copy's a bit beat up. It's probably no more than a 6.0. And I don't think I paid more than $10 for it. I don't even think I paid that. 2008, this book was a $30 book. 2009, it was a $50 book. 2010, $60. 2011, $65. 2013, $75. 2015, $90. And then over the last couple of years, it has doubled in price. And a 9.4, this book is currently at about a $180 book. Okay. This book has been increasing in value regardless of movie hype. Get it now before there's any movie hype. That's my opinion, especially if you're a Spider-Man fan. Yeah, Mike talks about how comics were made to be thrown away, which is another reason why the rarity of those books make these books so valuable. And that's why it's really hard to say that any modern book will ever look like Silver Age books, let alone Golden Age books, right? You know, but again, scarcity isn't just about what's available in terms of print run or what exists, it's what exists on the actual market. So that is a variable as well. Right. Brick Hunter. Talking about baseball cards and kind of like what Mike was just saying, baseball cards and comics were not originally intended to be collectible. I wonder what we are mishandling today that people will be collecting. Toilet paper. Oh man, yeah. That's trying to look around me like, yeah. There's something that we're taking for granted, right? That might be valuable in the future. Ah, Black Panther's greater than Batman. Hey, it's all perspective, guys, right? All opinion. I think there's a few Marvel characters we need to get before MCU appearance. Better Ray Bill. That's yeah. See, and Better Ray Bill is in that kind of like the Spider Woman um position right now where there's hints. There's been hints. We've even seen his face in Thor Ragnarok, but there's not confirmation. So that's another one. But Better Ray Bill is one that if there is confirmation, just chill because ultimately I don't think that bubble is going to be a big bubble. I think it will pop pretty solid, but I'm not going to say that it's not going to continue to increase over time. But that's one that will cool off, I think, decently well, even if there's hype. But honestly, it all depends too on how he's portrayed in the movies. But yeah, we'll see. All right, guys. I'm gonna man, I great stream tonight, guys. I appreciate you all for joining. Let's take a few minutes to just kind of wrap everything up. I appreciate everyone coming together and chatting tonight, man. We had lots of people involved, just talking different opinions, and everyone got along, and it was beautiful, man. I love this. You know, it just I'll say it again, man. It bothers me when I'm in these comic book groups, you know, and we're just expressing different opinions and people just start freaking acting like children, man. So I'm glad everyone was able to be positive today and just hang out, man. Just forget about the world and hang out and kick it. So I appreciate you all being here. Oh, Isaac, Cloak and Dagger. Yeah, I really like Cloak and Dagger, and I do want to get more of their books. I mean, it's not something I'm actively looking for, but if I can get them on the cheap, I'll pick them up for sure. So yeah, Black Knight. Yeah, I picked up the first appearance of Black Knight recently from a dude that was selling a whole bunch of books out of his house. Decent copy, except it has a little rip. It has a dime-sized rip of the back cover that's missing. Brick Hunter, have a good night. Have a good night, Mike. Right on, guys. So, okay, guys, thank you again. Yeah, I'll log off here, man. I'm parched. I'm gonna go get some more water. Um, thank you again, guys. Guys, don't forget. If you haven't subscribed to the Comic Book Canon YouTube channel, go check that out. My co-host Jeff and I are there every Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm gonna get you guys, for those that are still here, I'm gonna get you guys the link real quick. I'm gonna drop that in here. Go sub us up over there. And check out our Friday night show. We have a lot to talk about. I'll be doing some CGC unboxing in a couple weeks on our show there. Every Friday. Here's the link to that. So if you guys aren't subbed up to Comic Book Canon, please do that before you guys head off tonight. I appreciate you all. And remember, in the words of the great Mike Sears, don't keep any of your books. Sell them all. Had to get you, Mike. All right, guys. I'm logging off. Thank you all. Be safe. Be kind to each other. Appreciate all you. And until next time.